Dr. Steve Manteaw, then I'll come to Nanaya, Jantua, and Kwam, and then to the convener of the anti-Galamsey fight, the media convener. So first of all, Dr. Manteaw, you've heard some of the responses. You have read the report for yourself, 36 pages. What do you say?
Well, well, Samson, this report and its contents are very revealing, but not surprising. That they expose pretenses that have characterized our supposed fight against Galamsey in this country. But for me, I think we've known this all this while. And so this comes only, as Dr. Yal Graham indicated, comes to confirm what is already public knowledge. In fact, this public knowledge is even documented in the NREG report. NREG is actually the Natural Resource and Environmental Governance Program, which was implemented by this country between 2008 and 2018. 10 years, we sank millions of development aid into trying to reduce the illegalities in the mining and forestry sector. I had the opportunity of joining an international panel to review the end of project report for the NREG. And the conclusion the panel came to was that over the period of 10 years, illegality in mining increased rather than reduced. And this was largely because of vested interest. And that those who were clothed with power to deal with the illegalities were themselves perpetrators of these illegalities. And this was contained in the 2018 end of project report of the NREG. So we've known this, and I think that Professor Frimpong's report only comes to confirm this. If we were a serious country, serious in terms of taking act on the recommendations of reports of this nature, perhaps we would have acted in ways that helps us to address these menace. For instance, once we know that the problem has to do with vested interest, and you want, and this should at the highest level, you want to set example of high political office holders who actually engage in Galamsey. So, for instance, if it has to be a chief who is put on trial for involvement in Galamsey, that will send a signal, at least it will put the fear of God in those who may be tempted to get into it. But to the extent that at the level of the presidency, there is a certain complicity, then it becomes very difficult to fight it. So I've always actually described the fight against Galamsey as a charade. And I've never really taken the president serious, especially when he said he was putting his job in. From 2021, when he received this report, what has he done about it? Not even a public expression of indignation of the revelations in this report and directing actions that will actually get to the bottom of the allegations that are contained in the report.
So, for example, when you have, I'm thinking we can deal with a few of the specifics. When you have as we understand, the powers of government, according to the Constitution, are to be exercised in the name of the people and for their welfare. And Article 21 directs that the people must know, or they must be informed about what the executive does. The fact that we are told about cabinet directives, policies that were treated with contempt. And now, because Prof has gone to GTV to speak, he's been referred to police, and now he's submitted this report, we would not have known what is going on. What does that tell you? The report is specific about who flouted cabinet directives. The ministry, environment, the agencies.
Well, Samson, I do not think that the report was meant for public consumption. This is a report that was actually requested by the rightful authority. It was put together in 2021 and submitted to that authority. So the question should be, what has that authority that actually commissioned the report done with the content of the report? Because as for we, the public, all we care to know is what government is doing, what actions government is taking to curb this illicit activity. And so, for instance, if following the receipt of the report, the president has taken specific actions, that is what we, the public, want to know.
Okay.
And it's most disappointing that we do not know of any action the president has taken except this recent direction that the report should be investigated by the police.
From one of those who has been mentioned as having led people to Prof over the taking of the excavators, bringing in an MPP executive to be responsible for gathering the excavators that subsequently were told 500 could not be accounted for and the rest of it. Charles Bisu, he has also been speaking. He says the reports, parts of it are not accurate, and if anything at all, the matters became matters for national security, and that in the process of the security agencies dealing with the matter, Professor Frimpong Boateng himself became a suspect. So, from what we know now, since absolutely nothing has been done by these security agencies, what does that also say? Because he says, quote, at the time he said 500 excavators were missing, I called him and I said, Prof, that is not factual. You have actually sent about 3 reports to the National Security Council, and the report that you sent reported that we do not have up to even 300 excavated. So why 500? I called him and he said he knew what he was doing, and then 3 or 4 years down the line, you come back to say that no excavator was missing. He was saying that Prof had become a suspect, and the security also did nothing. He feels disappointed about that. What does that tell you about the whole story?
What it tells me is that the content of Professor Frimpong Boateng's report is not the whole truth of the matter. And the reason there's not been any official action on this report could only be because of the people involved. I think that there is complicity at the very, which makes a different act, because if you don't act in a manner that actually shields the, in this case, the complainant, then of course, what is going to happen is that he's going to spill the bean, and that we'll all go down the drain together. And so at this stage, I think that the opposition should be taking deep interest in the matter. Otherwise, because this is a partisan thing really, and it is this government, MPP government, that are being cited in this case. And so you want a bipartisan approach to investigating the matter. We cannot even leave it to you, because the management of Yoko were appointed by the president. Police IGP was appointed by the president. Almost all our state investigative institutions holding onto the president. So if it turns out that the president complicit in this, then of course it will be difficult for them to do an impartial job. And that is why I believe that Parliament will take an interest in this matter.
What will be your final comments in respect of the Origin Oil reports about our extractive industry and how, illegal gold artisanal mining is posing such a danger to us?
I've done in the past 20 years and more, I've done a lot of work on mining related issues. And currently, my committee, the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, is being supported with some World Bank partial grant and partial loan to the government of Ghana to try to help formalize the sector. The major, for me, the major risk I see in illegal mining activities in this country is the risk of political capture. And I think Dr. Yao Graham alluded to this. We face a huge risk of political capture by criminal gangs who actually make illicit money from illicit mining activities to finance political parties and then hold on to power. And therefore, eventually, if we don't deal with it, we'll become captives of these illegal gangs. And that, for me, is a major risk that we all pose. It behoves on every Ghanaian to take a deep interest in how government is working to stem illegal mining.
And Ghanaians are in fact worried. Kwame Sapon-Sedu says, we can't account for approximately $4 billion worth of gold exports to Switzerland in 1 year, but we are going all over the world begging for debt forgiveness so we can get $3 billion bailouts from the IMF. Are we okay? Mm-hmm. All right, Doc, thank you very much.
Is this something before you move on? Yeah. We currently face the same challenge of illicit outflow of our gold because of the gold for oil. You see, we did not plan very well. We did not consult key stakeholders. So we've ended up, we have not incapacitated enough the PMMC to be able to buy gold. So gold producers cannot get money to produce. So the risk we face is for them to smuggle out of the country and sell their gold. And this is because if you look at the 2023 budget, we did not budget for the purchases of domestic gold from ASM actors. And so how else was PMMC supposed to find the money to buy the gold? Currently, I hear the first cycle of the gold purchases. We are waiting for the monies to come back, be able to go through another cycle of gold purchases. So gold producers cannot sell their gold, and we risk smuggling in this particular.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Steve Manteaw, co-chair. Thank you so very much for your time also. You are still here on Newsfile. This is your most authoritative news analysis platform.